in the age of great resignation, and it seems everybody I know at least is looking at quitting their job and starting their own thing, you know, finding the meaning in life. And so as a person who started several businesses yourself, like what can you comment on this situation, and what advice would you give people, especially people who are older and like think it might be too late to just start all over basically?
I think it's great that people are trying to achieve greater levels of happiness and trying to find options. My biggest advice is just remember, if you fail, you can always get another job.
Like that.
Yeah,
How about for like,
it's really helped some of my older friends, not under 30, really take the leap, which is why that was so easy for me to answer for you.
and how about like the younger, for corporates and, you know, the millennial talents or the Gen Zs who are now entering the workforce, and it's like different from the workforce of previous years? How can corporates retain this talent, you know, and attract them?
I think that companies are going to have to care more for their people. There's a very specific reason that I think, you know, 12 and a half is going to resonate. So much of the unique success I've had is predicated on retention. I have people around me for a long period of time, which means we trust each other. It also means we go fast. You know, business is a competitive sport, and the ability to be fast matters. And the way you're fast is when people know each other. You know, and when you have people with you 5, 9, 12 years, you go faster. And so I think the gig is up for businesses to look at people as disposable and interchangeable, which excites me. And, you know, I feel a huge sense of responsibility as a popular business voice to start being more aggressive about what's worked for me. And what's worked for me is being a good person to my employees to the best of my ability, which is why I also took on the vulnerable accountability of calling my book 12 and a half. Because when I look back at my 25 years, when I realized the only people that have worked for me that are not happy with me are the people that I was unable to be candorous about when I couldn't have the strength to tell them they were not good at their jobs, and I felt bad, and I tried to be cute and figure out how to get around it. That lack of candor led to resentment on both sides. And so in a world where I'm gonna take a big stand on, hey, let's be kind, I needed to also be transparent about my shortcoming of lack of candor. And it was only when I put the word kind in front of the word candor that I was able to finally start being more candorous, which has led to a dramatically better work environment in my companies. Okay.
You're such a big presence on social media. So for companies, like how important is it to have this presence on social media, and how can they grow it in an authentic way? You know, because so many of the stuff we see out there from the big corporates is just so cheesy. Yeah. I can use that word.
You know, I don't think it's a requirement for the CEO or leader of a company to be on social. I really don't. I think it's a missed opportunity. To your point, the reason that so many companies' content is cheesy is because it's completely watered down corporate jargon. It's press releases. It's the least authentic, least actually human pieces of content. And the leaders come across as robotic and out of touch. I always tell leaders, if you're not able to be authentic and honest in your content, you're better off not making the content, because you're gonna come across so awkward and so full of crap that you're doing more damage by making content. And most companies are not willing to be authentic. Most leaders are uncomfortable in leaning into the truth, which makes them not authentic, which leads to detachment between them and the audience.
Okay. And before my last question is about NFTs, I've seen a couple of your videos, and I know you believe in NFTs and the whole initiative movement. So what do you say to people who say like this is just a temporary fad? Or
I'm empathetic. It's a new technology. Everybody told me the internet was a fad. Everybody told me social media was a fad. Everybody told me TikTok was a fad and YouTube was a fad and podcast. Like everything I've ever believed in was a fad because it was new. And most people, when they see new technology, say no. And my message to the world is, when you see a new technology, say maybe and do the homework. And I think anybody who's done significant homework on the consumer blockchain is seeing what I'm seeing, which is this is going to be a very big consumer behavior shift. Now, I've also put out unlimited content that says 98% of NFT projects are going to go to zero. There's an enormous amount of greed. There's enormous amount of short-term behavior. So I believe in the macro trend, but much like internet stock valuations in 1999, I think there's too much short-term financial behavior that's going to lead to a correction. But I also think that most people are misunderstanding the NFT market as just collectibles and art, when it's so much greater than that. And I think over the next decade, that will become more obvious.
And for those who want to invest in it, how can they distinguish between what's going to be like not going to last?
Lots and lots. I mean, picking something to invest in requires homework. Nobody's just randomly buying 100 shares of a stock just because their friend said it was good, and so you have to do homework. And my point of view is you have to bet on the person running the project. So the thing that I've been doing is, do I believe in the person? Because at the end of the day, the leader, the artist, the CEO, she or he is the variable of success.
Okay. For my final question, can you tell me more about your book and the message that you're bringing with it?
I think the time is here that we actually realize that the soft skills are actually the alpha skills. That compassion and patience and kindness and self-awareness and accountability are how you build the biggest building in town, how you build the biggest business. And I think that we have overvalued IQ for too long in business and have compromised our values by letting the people who have a lot of IQ interact ineffectively with their EQ. And I wanted to put that on paper.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.